Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to this edition of the Tuesday Telecast. I have my friend and mentor from LinkedIn. That's where we met, Calvin Lawrence. Dr. Calvin Lawrence is a shining light in the way of leadership. And he doesn't even say that that's what he's doing. He's more about walking the path of lifting others. And that's what the Joyful Path is all about. So I want to welcome him. And I know he's backstage. So let's bring him into the house.
Hey, Miss Lydia.
Hello, Calvin. I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Well, hey, I'm so overjoyed to be here. I'm thankful that you were able to invite me, or I was able to be a part of this, because I'm thinking, not trying to be too humble, but I'm thinking, wow, you can have any guest you want. You're awesome at what you do, but to have me on is a really pleasure and a privilege.
Well, the privilege is all mine. You are absolutely, and I love that smile. So let's start by telling the audience, hi everybody, who you are and what you are about. Just in your own words.
Okay. Well, I'm Calvin Lawrence. I'm a CEO of Calvin Lawrence Speaks. I try to bridge gaps, and the reason that I started my company was during a time of a lot of turmoil and hatred, right around the COVID time and the George Floyd Black Lives Matter movement. There are still a lot of issues, but particularly during that time frame. And so I'm really about trying to bring people together, bridging gaps, and I love, especially now, talking about mentoring, as Lydia alluded to. I've had some great mentors in my life, and just special people that have helped to move me where I am. And so I try to. The only way you can pay it back is pay it forward. I guess that's what they say, and it's definitely true. And so that's what I'm about. What I try to be about as much as possible.
I love that. I believe that the way we communicate is to start building a bridge from our side, and that we can't all be alike to start. We can't know everything. Heck, the world has exploded in population and in personalities, and we can't possibly know it all. We haven't evolved to that, but we can reach out and realize the special part of us as humans is connection. So
True.
I want to kind of talk about that. I'm a mentor as well, and I do that for Berklee College of Music. I have a mentee that is from Jamaica, and I have a mentee that's from Japan, and so it's a great example of cultural crossing that you can stay in your own little small corner of your village and not meet anybody, but it's not going to be a lot of evolution in your life if you do that. So how do you go about mentoring, and do you see the mentoring as being something that connects you to parts of yourself and the world that you didn't know you were going to connect to?
Oh, I definitely do, Lydia. And it's funny you let out with the two mentees that you have. By the way, I love music, so maybe that's part of why you and I chime so much. And we got to get into some of that music stuff at some point.
Yeah.
But to have the cultural diversity piece in terms of being able to mentor whoever, and they may not look like you. And I think it's a big part of maybe what I do now. And I know that part of the bridging and educating and encouraging and inspiring or motivating is looking across those boundaries that maybe we put up as people, as human beings, and crossing those barriers whenever we can, or knocking them down if we need to, because it really makes the effort better in terms of how people can relate to you and say, I never knew that would be that way, or I never related to that, or the stereotypes that people might pick up on media, social media, whatever, might have caused them to be a little bit jaded. I'll use that word. And then when you do something that's contrary to those particular stereotypes, it's like, wow, it's a breath of fresh air. And so I really work hard. I'm very intentional, I guess I will say it like that, about making sure that, it's not just this one group, but you're working with everybody. And I can see you do that. And again, I think that's why we chime so well, and why we just kind of all of a sudden, I don't even know how we got together, but I know that I probably was watching your work, and it's like, got to know that lady. She's doing some great stuff, and she's impacting people. And those are the people I want to align myself with, because they bring me up. We all go up together. We rise together. That's kind of one of my favorite sayings.
Right. Yeah. I tend to say that if you lift yourself, the world around you lifts up too, and then follows you, and we do rise together. But we also have to make sure that we are ready to lift ourselves up, to whether we're working hard or surrendering or listening, that it's all a way of lifting ourselves up. And it may be from death's door. It could be from being in a bad situation. It could be from really just hating work.
Yes.
So do you have a time? I mean, you've probably had plenty of things that you've lifted yourself up from, but what's something that comes to you right now that you have lifted yourself from, or perhaps with the help of others around you?
And it definitely was with the help of others. It's always been that way for me.
Yeah.
So I can think of one time in particular, Lydia, and it was a long time ago, when I was really debating whether I had gotten into the right field, which is education. That's what I've been doing for almost 42 years now. And I didn't know if I needed to go any further in the field. I was feeling a little of the burnout that they say you get the 5-year itch or whatever. And I was really searching. And then someone hit me with an epiphany outside of my field. Sometimes that has to happen, that people who are not in your area can see things in a different view with a different viewpoint, right? And so this guy, so I'll give you a part of the story because it's a long story and I don't want to be too lengthy. He was in law enforcement, and I was applying for position because I had a buddy who was in the TV show NCIS. So everybody knows that because they've seen it. They've got all these versions of it. And I was applying to be a field agent. And I had all the qualifications. I had the physique. Back in those days, I was a strong guy and all the other stuff. And a long time ago. And so I thought, hey, I could retire at 50, 55, live very, very comfortably and all of that stuff. And I was looking at it. And then the guy in the interview, and there were levels of interviews, and I had gotten to the last interview. So this kind of give you a little backdrop. He said something that was so profound that I thought, maybe he's right. He's definitely right. And he said, everybody can't do what you do. And it was funny because maybe I had thought that before, but I had never had somebody say it to me, and someone who wasn't even in my field. And I walked out of that interview, and I had a chance to go to the next level, and I never came back. I was thinking, okay, now, so if everybody can't do what I do, then everybody can't. And maybe I need to do more in my field. And it was the impetus for me coming to Texas, which is a whole nother story. But I had a buddy who helped me to get through that piece and get down here to Texas, where I am currently. I'm originally from Virginia. And so, so it was something like that. And feel like it brought me up because I was on my way down. I was looking like I can't do this anymore. I don't think I can do it. And all of a sudden, this one word or statement changed my whole course of my life. And you know, very powerful, very powerful.
Yeah. Being open to those messages that come from unexpected directions is one of the things that connects us as humans. I think being able to take in stuff that, you know, it may not resonate immediately, but then we take it in as a possibility and just, you know, let it mill around in there a little bit, and before we know it, it might be the thing that brings us an epiphany, or, you know, really talks to our soul.
Right. And this was definitely an epiphany. It, you know, you think about a life-changing moment, because who knows, if I don't get that word, maybe I go into the law enforcement field, maybe I continue on in NCIS, maybe I go into something else in that genre, or maybe I'm out altogether. Who knows what would have happened? But I think some very, very positive things have come out of it since that time. Yeah,
Absolutely. A lot of people know me, especially in the past, and still know me, but as a creative, and and I am a creative. I'm always a creative, as a musician, and but I don't just do that. And there's, you know, and now I have a passion for and an expertise in policy governance. And why? Because it's like this creative part and the caring part really cares about how these policies are crafted so that they benefit people, and so that there aren't conflicts, and so that, you know, that we can have the bridge already partly built in the first place and have things clear. And so it makes sense to me now, but at the time, would I have gone into that? No, probably not. It's probably not the first thing I would have thought of. But when we're open, we get wider, and we connect, and we also get more focused to our purpose. So it's kind of a win-win.
It is. It's funny when you said that. I thought about me getting into leadership, and I can talk a little bit about that. And it wasn't like it was the first thing on my mind. You need to be a leader. Who, me? I don't know that I'm a leader. Little backstory. I was the quietest guy in the room. I was a guy who was the wallflower and didn't want to say a whole lot. And so eventually staying in the education and whatnot. Again, I have a mentor. He comes along, and he's in leadership, and he's my boss, or one of my bosses. And he kind of just nudges me a little bit. And I decide, once I'm down here in Texas, I decide, well, maybe that's the route that I go next after what I've already been doing, which is teaching and coaching. And all of a sudden, it's because of, like what you said, and maybe I can encapsulate it this way. There was a need, and it wasn't being met. And I thought, okay, well, I see what other people are able to do. Maybe I can do this too, and maybe do it even better. But I know there's a need out there. And so I got involved because there was a need, because people weren't being served the way they needed to be. And hopefully in the stops that I made a difference. I hope I have. But it was that impetus that just kind of pushed me out on the ledge, so to speak. I had a comfortable situation. I could have stayed. I didn't think I could stay because I saw the need that was there. And you've done the same thing. I commend you for that.
Yeah, I used to kind of say, oh, I can't do the path of least resistance, because that's, you know, we're supposed to work hard. We're supposed to, and the point is not to work hard. The point is to get to your goal, to get to your purpose, to get to, you know, why you're here, and connect, to grow, figure out another reason to be here, whatever. But the point is not to work hard. You're not going to really bring the hard work to the grave. You're going to bring the connections you made.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, it kind of comes down to that when you realize it. In my case, when you realize that, oh, it's actually okay, the path of least resistance, because it's got less resistance because you're aligned with it. You're honed. You have done the work. And it's been maybe more efficient for you because of your unique set of attributes that are like you said, Calvin, that only you can do what you do, and only I
Mhm.
can do what I do. And
Mhm.
what we're doing is being ourselves. I
Mhm.
mean, plain and simple. If you're not yourself in working for X, Y, or Z corporation, or even working for X, Y, or Z industry, then go where you can be
Go where
yourself,
you
be your best self,
right.
just boundlessly.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Um, Somebody said this the other day in another interview that I was watching, and they said, and I wrote it down and they say, go where you are celebrated, not just tolerated. And so it lends to what you just said, because what your gifts are, everybody's unique. Everyone has these talents and gifts. This where you have this value and worth. And if I don't do anything else, Lydia, is to kind of get people to see that, to see, and so and then I'm inspired by when they're inspired, and it's just kind of this a reciprocal vibe that just keeps everybody high. It's not a what's the word positive the deal where it's like it's negative, but it's the real deal. It's figuring
Yes.
out who you are, yeah, and your purpose, and then going to it, and then you kind of get to where you get narrowed in, and then you really do begin to live your best life because you're plugged into what you should be doing, and you're celebrated for it, and you get the value out of it, and everything, and everybody, it's a win-win all around. You got it.
Right. Right. It's not about what we can't do, it's what we can do.
Yes.
It
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
which just aligns us not to those barriers, but to the path that's clear. And then all of a sudden, all the people that are aligned to our path just show up
You
because
started
we can
coming.
see them.
Yeah. 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 They're starting to come now. You got
Yeah,
people coming to you, right? I've got people that come to me, or I'm vice versa. And so, yeah, that's how it works.
absolutely. When you've got that kind of mindset and that kind of service that comes back to you, then there's no need to, or there's hardly anyone who likes to retire, because we just keep wanting to do what we're doing because we love it, and
Yeah.
keep wanting to serve. And
I'm glad you said that. And I want to use the retirement word, which is kind of a bad word in my vocabulary, because I'm 64. I'll be 65 this year. And people will talk to you about when you're going to retire. I had somebody say that, and I said, I don't look at retirement like a lot of Americans, a lot of folks in Western civilization kind of deal. And I look at, what's the next thing? What's the next step? Because when you retire, you retire. I don't want to retire from life until it's time, and I'm 6 feet under. Then okay, that's okay then. But while I'm still
yeah,
breathing and living and got a heartbeat, there are things that I can do, that I can say, that I can learn. Who was it? Someone had a thing the other day. It was a LinkedIn post about I forget the philosopher, but he was 87 and he said he was still learning. And so I want to continue to have that mindset at 64. When I get to 87, if I'm still around, I like to be able to say I can do something now that's different from what I could do at 64 or at 44. Continue to be and continue to grow.
same.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, there's something that a lot of people notice. I'm just 10 years younger than you. Uh, and people are oftentimes just saying that they've done what they're going to do, and this is going to be
Mhm.
their lot in life by the time
Yes.
they're like 34.
Right.
And and then you start to decline, you start to
Mhm.
atrophy. But
Right.
you can still pick it up after that. You can revitalize your life. And I think all of us, when we do retire, when we, follow that the way we're supposed to be, and we retire, people say, I I I need to do something. I'm so bored.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to
yeah.
do something. And we all feel like we are kids, even though we see everybody who's young, we see them as kids. We
Hmm.
don't feel like we're that far from being kids.
Right.
And that's our heart, it's just our mind that shuts us down and says, hey, you're supposed to be doing this, that, and the other thing, and oh, you can't do this. And it's where all the barriers are, because it's kept
Correct.
us
Correct.
safe since we were in caves. And but honestly, we are that isn't useful except to keep us safe in an emergency.
Right.
What's in
Right.
our heart and that youthful part of us is still completely valid. We're still that person that
We're
we
still there.
were
Right. Right.
when we were little, and tolerant and open and free. And we are still that person. And I I love to talk about that now, that
Hmm.
those little people that we change, we because we go through things and we can evolve, but we still have that heart. And
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but I see little kids and they're out in whatever, and they emote and they get over it. And they if somebody is in trouble, then they get to safety and they bring all their friends to safety. And it doesn't matter
Who
what
they are, whether
what
yeah look
gender they
like.
are, what color
Right.
they are,
Right.
what part
Right.
of town they came from. It's their friends. And if they just share, they're not only tolerant, they're loving, they're
Hmm.
connecting. And later we get these ideas that keep us apart. But
Right.
so I mean, I'm just going to stop there and ask you what you think of this whole idea of how we get to be so intolerant when we start out as such beautiful, connective souls.
I don't know, Lydia. But I see exactly what you're sharing, and being a guy in education, and let me share this. So when I started out in education, I was an elementary school guy, and I can also say, like the guy say, I learned everything that I needed to know by teaching kindergarten, because there's some basic things there that we should never get away from. And when
Yeah.
you said what you said, I think about the kids and how they are. I mean, even if they've come from communities where they were homogeneous and everybody looked the same, when they
Yeah.
get into those groups, and what you said is true, they don't have these stigmas and stereotypes and barriers that we built up over time that take a lot of time to get rid of, or to change or to refocus. They
To
don't have
heal.
that. They just go and they just have a good time with
Yeah.
each other, and they protect each other, and they do the things they need to do. And kids are going to be kids, and they do some other things, but they also are very real. There's not a lot of fake, which I love when I don't, you're 10 years younger, a lot younger. And it used to be the thing about the old Art Linkletter show, which was kids say the darndest things, and kids would just say whatever they did. I love the show from that standpoint. Kids just do that thing, and they don't really care about all this other stuff. But when we get to a certain point, and maybe I'm past that point now, because I'm really not about a facade or all that other stuff. But there's a time period in there where people are like, everybody's trying to, well, I can use the old term, keeping up with the Joneses, and everybody's trying to show that they're this and they're that, and they're trying to prove something. I could sum it up in one word: is pride, is dogmatism, that they want to be the big person or whatever. And I'm kind of past that, because I don't have to do the rat race thing with people. And so now it's kind of back to the point where you just try to see if you can enjoy people and get people to get off of that merry-go-round, which is like, it's not a good thing. It's a negative thing that keeps people apart. But you're right,
Yeah.
the kids are so cool at doing that, and you want to keep that through life. And maybe there's some people, you could name some of them, I probably can name some of them, that have been able to and they had to be intentional to kind of keep that focus and not get into those boxes where they just put people in these things and just did that. I mean, it's important, but I wish we could all do that. I wish we could all stay with that mindset of a kid all our lives from that standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we can. But but it comes down to that word of intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're because when we're born, the first thing we do is try to belong. I mean, we're born belonging, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we try to, and we don't have anything. But what we do have is we have a little bit of wisdom when we're born. Strangely enough, I don't think we think of babies as wise, but the first thing we do is say, okay, what happens when I need to get out of the sun, or I need to get out of the rain, or I need to get out of the wind? I can't move my little body out of there. So I'm going to either cry or I'm going to smile. And, these people respond to my smiles, these people respond to my cries, and I'm going to get picked up and carried out of the rain,
I'll keep doing it. Yeah.
I'll keep doing that. And then we learn more and more things that we can do and learn how to be part of everything that we see going on. And we teach that to ourselves, because mostly what do we do as adults? We look at them and say, oh, goo goo gaga, you're not going to learn anything from goo goo gaga. So we just have to learn this stuff ourselves. But
true.
we have some wisdom when we start out there. So later on, we're doing the intentionality thing that you're referencing, and I think that I'm interpreting that as also as presence, like you are you're in you're doing the you thing. It is. And that's not an egotistical thing. It's like this is your part and this is how you connect. So I'm looking at how we are, you mentioned about domination and dogma and that's that safety part of us. At some point we either, we got it set in our heads that we need to be bigger than everyone else, but kids realize that the safety is in the numbers and the safety is in the connection to others. Now, what you said about you're not into all that anymore, I think that, and I'm not either. And is it getting back to the wisdom, that we kind of had at the core, that, oh, I'm wise enough to know that I need these other people. And we sort of know that, again, we don't want to dominate the people. We're part of the people. We're part of, it doesn't have to be all the people, but the people around us, we're part of that. And it's kind of comes around a circle when we, from young to older, how we get that wisdom to connect.
Kinda, but I'm gonna go back to your background, which is music, and I was thinking about this when you were talking, and I thought, one of the beautiful things about Lydia is you played with folks and you work with people, and I know, because if you're a musician, you got to do it, because it's not like this, you're isolated, and you kind of have to carry that. And I'll give you for instance. So even back in the old civil rights days, when people weren't together and you had this segregation piece and whatnot, you had musicians that would jam together and work together, and they could see each other from the standpoint of who they were. Right. It wasn't about what was my pigmentation. It was about, hey man, this guy's got great rhythms. I want to get with what he's got. I want to figure out what he's doing. And you just kind of got rid of all that other stuff, because it wasn't real. It was something we had made up. And I think it's one of the reasons why it's so easy for you to go in and out and wish everybody was musical like you, but everybody's not. But it's like one of those things where when you work with people and you really get to see them for who they are and what it is about relationships, and it's about the sense of belonging, and you start doing it from that standpoint, then you don't worry about the other stuff. And it's internal stuff, maybe that will keep you away from somebody because of they have some issues, but it's not because of the way they look outside or exterior. It's because of, and so I really think we get to that point at a certain point, maybe some of us do as we get older, and it works better. And then we've got that full circle. We kind of come back around and we're starting to think about things because we don't have to play that game that who's the best in the room, who's the brightest person in the room, who's the best looking person in the room. I'm definitely not worried about who's the best looking, because all my hair is gone and I don't have muscles like I used to. But if I can make somebody smile or make them laugh, then hey, and we're all on this planet that, all of us have some faults. So it's kind of like that. I've gotten to that point, and maybe through some hard knocks, because I wasn't always that way, but I'm still trying to get there, trying to improve.
Yeah. I want to come back to the comedy thing, as I think that's a good thing to touch on too. But what you're saying about the music, there's the thing that I remember holding me back, and I didn't say it was holding me back at the time, and I'm thinking out loud here, but it was just the regular school system saying that, it had to act in a certain way and fit in these corridors and boxes.
Yeah.
I was always the daydreamer, and I was always, Lydia looks out the window a lot. But that thing of the music that we're all connecting based on the music itself. Music is a different language.
It is.
And it's a universal language, and it's an accessible language. Not everybody knows it. They don't think, but unless you're, I'm a composer too, and unless you're a composer from the 70s who was trying to just, do academic things, and it didn't matter if nobody liked it because they just didn't understand it. And, well, that's, in many ways, that's not music. That's like putting words together that don't make sense. It's because it's not communicating. People are tribal, and people are essentially natural. We want to be able to hum a few bars. We want to be able to tap our toes. We want to be able to dance. We want to be able to clap. We want to be able, and when we can connect to some part of the music, then we've gotten the language.
Right.
I mean,
I like that.
That's all there is to it. It's an inclusive thing. And it has emotions. It can make us it can make us feel proud. It can make us feel sad, nostalgic. It can make us feel angry. It can make us feel beauty and love. But it doesn't. But it's inclusive. Whatever it is, it's inclusive. So, I love that you brought that up. I mentor graduates from Berkeley, and I've got a couple of new ones right now. One is from Jamaica and one is from Japan, and they each talk about culture. But the thing that we connect on is the music, and I love culture, and I love different cultures, and the where they are where it's tough is fitting into the boxes and the corridors here in the United States. But when it just comes to their music and who they are as humans, we're all connected, and we can connect on that level, and it's beautiful. It's transformative. It transforms me, it transforms them, it transforms everyone. So thank you for bringing up the music, because do just play. And if it comes down to playing and it's not just playing, it's, judgment or that or anything else, then no, you probably don't want to do that anymore.
Right. Right. I love it. I don't know. I'm gonna jump in if I can. When there are a couple of things, I'll go back to the school in the boxes thing, and it's sad that we have these systems, but it's for efficiency, or I think that's my theory, that over time we tried to become more efficient because you have so many people going through. But there are a lot of people like you who might have daydreamed and whatever, but they had these great visions. And the great teachers, and there are a few, there's still a few out there, and I had one in particular in 4th grade. They take that person and they kind of encourage them in that whatever that area is that that they have a gift in, and they figure it out, and then all the other things kind of tie in, but you got to find the place. I know where I was going with this. You mentioned something about the music and how it's inclusive, and I'm thinking about how when you look for a mentor, you're looking for someone who speaks, and you said it in terms of music is a different language. So I'll use the language that I'm talking about is you connect on another wavelength. And when you start looking for those people, it's like, wow. And we'll go back to our original thing, which was it didn't matter, because the two that I have, one's African-American, the other one is Caucasian, he's white. And it didn't matter the race. It was like we just connected. And it was as if we were old friends. So I'll use that as a definition. It's kind of like when you meet somebody and it's like you've been friends forever. And that's the person that you got to hang on to. Those two, the Japanese student and the Jamaican student, I don't know if it was an assignment that they assigned you. By the way, the Berkeley thing kind of blows my mind, because I don't know that I could work with anybody at Berkeley. That's a elite. That's almost Ivy League. That's basically Ivy League. But when you have people and they find out that there's this connection, they don't want to leave you. And really what will happen is when those students graduate, they'll still be your mentees because you've made this connection, and it's cross-cultural, it's cross everything. But I always say to young people, I say, and I'm trying to do this with mentors as well, is that, when there's this connection, y'all kind of go after it. Don't let it wane. Back in the day, I probably let a couple of situations wane or go when I probably should have hung on to them. But I had really great mentors. I'm looking at a picture of one right now, and they didn't let me go. And that was the key to my success over time, was that they just kept working on me, kept refining me, kept helping me refine myself. But it's like, you get this language and you learn it because you all connect so well. And you're that type, I think, that really, it's really easy. I would have loved to have had you as a instructor, because I think we would have been talking. We might have been both daydreaming for a good little bit, but I bet you some good stuff would have come out of it. Right.
Yeah. And I think our teachers are everywhere. And sometimes our teachers are the things, if you look for what to learn, you're going to have a great life. You stick to the adversity of something. Oh, yeah, that adversity is your teacher. We have teachers everywhere. When you look at it that way, it makes life so much fun. Yeah, it's got its ups and downs for sure. Yeah. For sure. Big ups and downs, maybe. You get huge. I will give you huge ups and downs. But there it is. We know we can come up from those low places, and that we all have them. And so we can learn from other people. They're all our teachers.
Right.
You brought up that you like to, if you can make someone smile or make someone laugh. And I think laughter is another one of those things that can connect us. The I was in I was in Las Vegas recently, and I got tickets to a LA comedy club. And one of the things that just made everybody in the room laugh uproariously was actually being vulnerable and letting ourselves be poked fun of, and to be just laughing at all the stereotypes and at all of the people in there. We had the, you know, the jokes about women, the jokes about old people, the jokes about Black people, the jokes about gay people, the jokes. And now it wasn't even jokes. It was like with the people
with the
themselves.
people.
And it allowed us to laugh at ourselves, which I think is so important and so hard, though. You have to, but in that place of vulnerability is where we learn from mentors. It's where we can, the things that we might, you know, hide from or cry in ourselves or try to push out there because it's the thing that makes us different or whatever. When we are vulnerable in that place and instead, or just let it go, we can laugh about it. And that's joyous, because in the end we realize that we're not so different.
No,
we're not so different. There's more that is alike about us than is different.
right. Correct.
Humor is something that I haven't always been into humor, but I, you know, really recognize the humanity in that moment when I said, "Oh, all these people are not offended."
Right.
That's cool, because we're right now, for years at this point, we've been in a country that really like boils over with offense and blame and you know, and so it's really when you connect on that level, you say, yes, we're all human after all.
Yes, for sure, Lydia.
So you have some things that you are working on aside of mentoring, right? I think that
yes,
I heard something about maybe some project that is near and dear to your heart that you might have.
Yeah, it's been a life's work in the making, if I can say it that way. But I'm working on a book project. Hopefully, I can have it completed this year. That's my goal in 2024 before the year's out. And it's a leadership journey, kind of a guide toward some things that I've had. There probably been as many, if not more, hardships than successes. But I've learned, as you were saying before, I've learned a lot through those hardships to be able to keep going and keep being motivated and keep not stopping out or dropping out, but continue to learn from it, reflect on it, and then move forward. And it really helped me in a lot of ways too, because as I think you said this earlier, as we reflect, then we can learn if we're open to that. And I've been able to reflect and hope, and this is a good timing too, because I still, my memory's still great or still pretty good, and I can go back and remember fourth grade, or I can go back and remember that time period or whatever, or remember that time when the God gave me that epiphany about, you know, everybody can't do what you can do, and I can kind of put it to pen, and so hopefully it'll be something that will help again, in encouragement. I'll give you the first part of the title is the happy leader. And so, because I guess people have turned me sort of happy, I guess my smile maybe is my calling card now, but I'm a happy leader. And there's a reason why I'm happy, even in the midst of adversity and ups and downs. And you said the hills can be high and the lows can be pretty low.
Yeah.
But even with all of that, I think I've been able to come through, and I'm hoping that what I can share will maybe help some people and encourage them. If I can just encourage one, as they always say, then, it'll be worth it. But hopefully I can encourage a few more than just one.
Yeah. The idea of leadership from being a leader, the idea of leadership from writing a book and encouraging others, and the idea of being a leader by encouraging others is the whole premise of how I see you as a servant leader, leading by example, leading by encouragement, and leading from the heart, leading from a place of love. So that's, really, I'm really looking forward to your book. I think we need more books, because there's all sorts of books that tell you how to be at the
Yeah.
top, right? But
Well, and it's funny you should say that, because I had a publisher say, well, I want you to write this. I got stymied for about a year and a half because I got all these talking heads telling me that I needed to write a how to do this or how to be at this level or how to books. And I thought, that sounds great, but that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. And when I think about how I got to where I am, again, I'll go back to our mentoring piece. A big part of the book is all of these mentors that, sometimes you forget, and we should never forget the people who've gotten us to where we are. But this is helping me also to go back and remember, wow, she was a mentor. That was a mentor. That was a mentor. How many mentors do I? And you can have multiple mentors and people that carry you. I always tell people that if you get me for a mentor, you got one for life, because most of my mentors have been lifetime folks that they, just because we're in class, I'm in their class, or I'm in a business with them, or I'm working under them or whatever, and I move on to something else, doesn't mean that mentorship goes away. And so it's a lifetime kind of a journey for me. And hopefully, as they say, if you're mentor, you're more likely to be a mentor. And I'm hoping that I can inspire that. If we got everybody out in the whoever, United States or the world, that are mentoring people, I think this will be a better place. So that's the goal, I guess, is to just try to make this thing kind of go and be multiplied wherever it can be. But you're right about and I'll try to be humble with this, but you're right about, you don't just talk about it, you got to live it out. And I know I'm not perfect, but you try to live it out. So the thing that I've been doing the last couple of years in particular is trying to live this piece out and trying to learn from mistakes, but to try to okay, I've maxed this out. What else do I need to do? Where else can I go? What else can I do to be better and improve myself? And those things are a win-win, because if you're winning on your side, then the people that you're helping and you're serving, they're going to definitely be winning on that side. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. It makes us happier. It just makes us happier to serve in that way, to see how we can become better, and to connect to others and grow. So it's good work. It's one of the things people want. Happiness. You got it right in what you're talking about, Calvin. Seriously. If people want to connect to you, how will they do so? Go to your website?
Go to my website, go to my my LinkedIn page, but my website is calvinlawrencespeaks.net. So they can go to that, they can connect. There's a feature there where they can in fact, I just had somebody I need to respond to here recently, because I think the guy wants an idea about something, but they can connect that way. They can bring me on if they need to, or we can make that introductory just sit down chat. And so that's a great way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. Yeah. So and that's right down in the show notes. So you can connect with Calvin there. And I want to thank you for being on the show. And if you're gonna give one piece of advice today for someone to connect, to rise up, to get past their differences, to get or anything along what we've talked about, what would you tell them?
Oh, I would definitely go back to telling them to connect with people who are like-minded, people who are going somewhere, that are trying, especially with younger people, especially. I mean, you are who you hang around, or who you're being influenced by, and that's really a truism. And so, if you want to go places, if you want to be successful, you got to hang out with successful people, or you got to hang out with some folks that have been there and done it. And guys like me, I won't say old guys like me, but I'll say guys like me really do enjoy when we can share something, a nugget or wisdom of something that might help someone. It may just be one word, just like that one statement that the guy gave me, but the one word can go a long ways to getting you to the next level, or next level of success that you need to be at.
Yeah. That one word was your epiphany. That's
One
amazing.
word.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you and hope you will come back.
Thanks, Lydia. Hopefully you will invite me back. I won't do anything to cross you up, so hopefully I'll get a second chance at this.
So that was Calvin Lawrence, and we appreciate having him on the show. If you know somebody from your walk of the woods, from your area of the world, from your cultural heritage, from your church, from your workplace, from anywhere, that has lifted you up, tell me about them. I want to know. And maybe we can have them on the show. I appreciate you all being here. And if you liked the show, please hit like. And if you have not already done it, please, oh so gently, push the subscribe button. I would love it if you'd share this with anybody that would appreciate some ideas on mentorship and connection and servant leadership. And in the meantime, follow your path with curiosity and love. And I will see you next week on the Tuesday Telecast. Ciao.